breaks in, all I gotta do is... So I basically woke up one day and I decided to pay one of my mentors. His name's Amen Ra. He's actually a really intelligent guy. Putting all the kind of sarcasm jokes aside for a second, he has a PhD, multiple degrees, he has multiple skill sets. So he's very, very intelligent in philosophy. You guys should go check out his Instagram. I have it linked below. Basically all his research, everything, his website. You guys will learn a lot. You will just see through the way he speaks. He's very, very high level. I'm not even gonna try to explain the things that he talks about. But basically he has a world record for his weight class as a natural for deadlift. And obviously, you know, he is 100% vegan, animal rights advocate, really intelligent guy. So I thought, okay, well, why not go visit him, right? He has a lot of things to teach, obviously. And so with that out of the way, basically I'm just gonna hit the bed, and then tomorrow we're just gonna Uber and see him, and we'll just see how it goes. All right, so this is kind of the outside. It's really not that bad looking. Look, a squirrel. There's a little squirrel on the ground. Look at him, looking for nuts. So it's really not that bad looking outside, I'd say. You know, pretty desolate, but all in all, yeah. I tried getting an Uber so we can go to a grocery store so I can get nourishment calories, right? And there's no Ubers available. So I'm basically stranded here until further notice. So we'll have to see how the rest of the day goes.
Talking about another one with Texas.
Yeah.
Texas talking about Civil War.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's really important to like basically get money up and get your resources together, because you never know when something can happen. Like first there was a Ukraine war in Russia and like World War III. Like
a lot of stuff up though.
Yeah. So I think world tensions are rising a bit. So
definitely is. So, it is election year too. So you know, it's just a lot of stuff. Relax.
Yeah, 100%. Start with who you are, right?
Who am I? I am Dr. Nun Amen Ra. That tells you my name, but it doesn't tell you who I am. And in order to answer that question, we would have to delve more deeply into the fundamental nature of reality. I'm being somewhat facetious, but I'm simply someone who thinks deeply and endeavors to apply that knowledge to his own existence.
I think the biggest thing that people kind of want to know is, what is your outlook on life as is? Because a lot of people have very, very different lives, very various lives. Some people, they choose entrepreneurship, others choose to be doctors, some choose to engage in a travel, hedonistic party lifestyle, others choose to be, who I want to be like you, right? Where they want to move out into the woods, peaceful life, optimize their health, things like that, live a very aesthetic life. So what is your outlook on all the various types of lives there are, and what do you think about them?
I would say that the principle that guides my life, and that's all I can speak for, is meaning, purpose, and value. That is, discerning what gives one's life meaning, purpose, and value. Everything flows from that. Self-discipline, I think, is at the core of all of those actions that can improve the quality of our existence. I don't think anything worth attaining can be attained without discipline. And you mentioned detriments, dangers. I think the most perilous thing, especially in modern society, is an overemphasis, an overvaluation in the esteem of others. So to the degree that you can acquire esteem from within and not seek it from without, then you'll be in a better position to direct the course of your life in a way that is beneficial and edifying.
And another question I had as well was, I think we live in a very egocentric world, and a lot of people, they don't know what they want out of life. So, and I think a lot of it comes from masculinity as well. I think how would you employ a journey of stoicism as well? Like if someone wanted to become someone that was masculine, capable of protecting their loved ones, they wanted to genuinely hold a strong frame in life, what would you suggest they do to get there, right? Because I know there's obviously the physical aspect of competence, but to really mature your mind and develop it, what would you recommend?
I would recommend reflecting upon the fact that power has many manifestations, and it is ideal to understand all of the ways that we acquire power and squander power. And physical power is simply one manifestation of power. Mental power is another manifestation. Spiritual power, I believe, is the ultimate manifestation, whatever one's understanding of spirit, soul is. I think that it is also important to be practical. We live in a world where aggression is pervasive, be it physical aggression, psychological aggression, emotional aggression. And so we need to fortify ourselves against the aggression of the outside world. Sometimes it's nature, sometimes it's other human beings, so that it becomes incumbent upon us to develop a certain fortitude, physical strength, physiological strength, psychological strength. And in that way, we can protect ourselves from the innumerable evils that exist in the world and protect our loved ones as well. We can't live in an isolated bubble, so to speak, where we assume that the world is benign. It isn't. And it's almost the responsibility of an enlightened, intelligent person, man or woman, but particularly men, to acquire the power that is necessary to protect their loved ones.
That's a great answer. I think, especially in today's day and world, there's a lot of corruption that runs, especially when you introduce power and Machiavellian things into someone's life. They tend to exploit them. And another question I had as well was, when it comes to this, right, and a lot of people, when they get power or they get influence or money or status, they always abuse it. How would you say to retain love and art in your heart, right? Because those are two of the most valuable things that you believe in. You think that life is about love and art. How would you kind of hold these two in value above power, let's say, and status and all these other superficial things?
I would say that when you love something or someone, you will protect them. And that protection requires a certain degree of power. And so it's important to identify with other beings. And the import of that is that when you derive a certain degree of power and you identify with the suffering of others, other humans, other animals, you see the importance of using your power in such a way as to protect those who lack power or who have less power than you. So power becomes an aspect of morality and ethics and force for good. So instead of seeing power as a means by which to manipulate people, you can see power as a means of protecting the vulnerable. And I think that is the loftiest use of power.
Precisely, and I think that that's why most people, they don't understand this, but the philosophy of veganism itself and even ethical consideration towards sentient beings such as animals, they don't understand that it's combating carnism, which is the philosophy of basically exploiting animals. So just expanding on that as well, if you had to make an argument, like a quick argument for why someone should adopt that lifestyle, what would you suggest, that philosophy that they should protect the vulnerable, aka the animals as well?
I think ultimately all morality boils down to identification. And if you identify with the suffering of another being, you will want to spare that being unnecessary, unjustified suffering. But ultimately, it's because when you come to identify with the experience and the feeling of all beings, harm to them becomes harm to yourself. So it is identification that is the foundation, I believe, of ethical behavior. And the more we can identify with the suffering of other beings, the less likely we are to exploit and kill them.
I see. That makes a lot of sense. So another question I had as well, expanding upon that a little bit more as well, is if someone simply makes the argument of apathy, right, and they ignore all epistemology axioms, they just simply don't care, right? What would you say to this person? Would you say that it's a moral obligation, or would you say that their lack of care or apathy almost makes it permissible for them to continue engaging in these types of behaviors? So if someone just simply doesn't care, right, what would you say to that person?
They are fragmented individuals, and you cannot make an argument that they ought to care about a particular being. All you can say is that they are limiting themselves by essentially cutting themselves off from a large part of the world, the natural world. And in order to be a complete individual, you will want to think your way into the experiences of other sentient beings.
What would you say is the biggest and most important thing about being human, right? Because ultimately, I think we've gotten lost in today's society. What would you say is the essence and encapsulation of being a human, right? What do you think that separates us from all other sentient life, all sentient animals? What would you say is the thing that makes us special?
As original as I sometimes seek to be, I can't improve greatly upon Aristotelianism. And Aristotle maintained that the loftiest human behavior is to engage in what is quintessentially human, and that is reason. So the highest human activity is to probe deeply into the nature of reality and to understand reality as fundamentally as we possibly can. And that includes ourselves and the cosmos, the microcosm and the macrocosm.
I see.
If we are doing that, we are doing what we ought to do from a human vantage.
I see. And I guess my final question as well, and this is more of a personal question that I have, do you think that in our lifetime, right, do you think in the next 100 years or so that world peace is truly possible if we engage in the correct activities? Or do you think that it's just impossible and suffering will always be part of reality? And do you think that there's no way to resolve what we have here, that's just basically a violent world?
Being a realist, not a pessimist, I would have to say that suffering is the fate not only of humanity, but of the biosphere. And that makes it even more incumbent upon us to do what we can to inure ourselves to suffering and to minimize it to the degree that we can.
I see. Perfect. Well, I think that there's a lot of things that many people have to learn, and I think one of the best people to learn from is you. I spent the whole day with you, and I just got to say the experience was phenomenal. The lifting, the conversations we had prior to the interview were just absolutely high level. And I think, where can everyone find you? What are your books, your links? Tell everyone what you have to offer, right?
Certainly. I've written several books. The main bodies of work are Evolutionary Nutrition, Mind, Matter, Mathematics, and Mortality, which you've had a taste of today.
Yep.
And also the corpus that is air, that is Amen Ra's age inhibition regimen, of which there are 8 volumes, 4 of which are complete, and the 5th volume is slated to be released within weeks. So you can visit my website, AmenTaEliteAthlete.com, and avail yourself of all of the texts that are in the corpus. I invite you to do so.
Perfect. And the final question as well is, if someone would like to also come out to a retreat, what possessions would they have to have? What qualities would they have to be approved? Because a lot of people would like to come, but very few can.
Certainly. They would have to be as serious and committed as yourself, and be amenable to instruction, and be open to change and challenge. I think you've been challenged today. Is that correct?
100%. I think a lot of the beliefs I held about reality, consciousness, transhumanism, everything was challenged. I think I've definitely learned significant amounts. I mean, even reading the excerpt of your book, it's to even read it, you need to have such a deep understanding of quantum physics, quantum mechanics, just reality in general, so many different topics, history, Hinduism, Egyptians. You need to have such a deep understanding of everything to even get through one passage, nonetheless a book, nonetheless 5 books. So yeah, everything I believe has been challenged today for sure.
And you have the endurance to do it.
Of course, it's a lifelong pursuit, and I think people often want to absorb information just for the sake of absorbing, but I think it's not about absorbing the information, it's about understanding what the author intended to write. So yeah.
Dr. Nun Amen Ra, thinker.
Perfect. All right, it was good meeting you, my friend. Yeah, let me go check this out actually real quick. Before or now, like?
Oh yes, definitely. Really? And I wouldn't say big lifts, but even in my last competition,
yeah,
I tend to choose a weight that I'm confident that I'll do for my second set. I always do a relatively easy weight for my opener, but for my second set, that's what I consider my main set.
Oh, I see.
And usually I do something that I don't think necessarily that I'll get from my final set.
That's actually smart. additional 15 pounds to help me out. That was fucking awesome. Yeah, like I was saying, I think your superpower realistically is influencing others to be the best versions of themselves. I think the last interview you did, which got millions of views, it didn't do justice. It only dialed in on your nutrition, which is important, and it's a huge aspect of what you devoted yourself to. But I think the philosophical questions you impose, your theories on consciousness, quantum mechanics, everything like that, it holds so much more value, and I think that's what takes a lifetime of wisdom to get the answers to. So that's truly what your superpower is, just enlightening people and just showing them that there's other philosophies and other ways of life almost. So yeah.
Well, that's an insightful exposition, and I appreciate that.
Alright guys, what's going on? So just on a walk right now, wrapped up a night at a lodge. Wanted to show you guys the view here, literally up in the mountains pretty much. Very, very pretty. Alright, so final day here, just went to a lodge, slept. It was very nice. The family here, it's basically a huge mansion. They made me vegan pancakes, vegan egg casserole, so it was really, really awesome. Great food, and yeah, but I head to Starbucks pretty much to catch a flight home after that. But yeah, I really, really had a good time here. I really appreciated everything I learned from Sensei. I really appreciated just even being out here in nature, seeing deers run around. All right, time for a more personal talk. So I think the biggest issue with our generation, being Gen Z and millennials, is everyone has very hidden intentions. When I talk with anybody, and whether it's an Uber driver, whether it's anyone really, everyone tells me that I'm authentic, or I'm not fake, or I have good energy. That's what I've been told a lot of the time, and I always ask myself why. Like, why is it that so many people tell me this, and I don't even think that of myself, but why do people tell me this? And the more I found myself kind of thinking about that question, what I've realized is that everyone, when they have discussions, they always have hidden intentions. And I truly believe the best way to live through reality is wearing your heart across your sleeve. I really think that, because the goal of life, firstly and foremost, the selfish goal at least, is to absorb experiences. It's to build memories, right? And in my personal view, it's to secure moments in time, because that's the one thing that the universe can't take away from us. If we ignore the butterfly effect, if we ignore stimulation theories, we ignore all this kind of stuff, we ignore consciousness, we ignore subatomic particles, we ignore everything, what you guys have to understand is the one thing that controls it all is time, okay? And the one thing that no one can ever take away from you is time. Whenever you secure a moment in time, whenever you do something with someone else, you both secure that moment. That happened. Nothing can defy that, ever. It's literally 12 a.m. I'm fucking going straight to sleep after consuming food so I can continue the bulk, because I've been in a calorie deficit the last few days. I haven't really worked, but hey, you know, shit happens.